Well, everybody usually knows that they're supposed to thin their fruit, but they're not always quite sure why. Well, actually lots of research has been done, and they did find out that it takes about 40 leaves to feed a regular size apple. Now, I wouldn't have wanted to be the one that had to count all those leaves, and you won't want to count 40 leaves to thin your apple out. So, how do you know how far apart to thin your apples? Well, more research has been done, and it's shown that thinning apples 6 to 8 inches apart will usually give you a great crop of apples. Well, how do you know how far that is? Well, you can measure a stick and cut it to that length and use that to space your apples out. Or if you're like me, I would measure that stick, I would put it down, and I wouldn't be able to find it. So what I do is, I know that when I spread my fingers out here, that's 7 inches apart. So I thin my apples 7 inches apart. Now, if I were thinning peaches, which are supposed to be 4 to 5 inches apart, I would use my fist because I've measured that and it's 4 inches apart. So that way I can go along and thin my fruit. On my apple tree, it works really well. Well, the other thing about thinning is, when do I thin? Well, when the apples get to be about the size of a dime or a nickel, that's when you need to start thinning them so that it'll give them enough time to develop. Now, first off, when you come up to your tree, you want to do this in a methodical way, and I usually start at the bottom of a branch and then go up it, and then I'll move to the next branch and go up it. So first off, as we do this branch, we'll start down here at the bottom until I find my first fruit. Now it's right here, and what you want to look for when you're thinning is not necessarily the largest fruit. Now, most of the time you will thin to the largest fruit. If you can see here, I've got 2, but you want to also inspect that fruit. If that large fruit is damaged, then you're not going to want to leave it. You're going to want to leave the fruit that's not damaged. Now on these, it isn't damaged, so I'm going to go ahead and thin this one off. Now, don't want to drop these on the ground because that might encourage disease, so that's why I've got my bucket with me. Now, here goes my measurement. Come up here, and that's 7 inches there, so I've got 2 more. I want to take one of these off. And all you need to do is just kind of pull that off on the side. Coming on up here, now you'll notice here I've got some fruit, but this is where my 7 inches is. And so I want to take these fruit off here, and then I want to take one of these off. Now I just progress on up like this. Now another thing that you want to do is you only want 1 fruit per spur. And what I talk about when I'm talking about a spur is this small piece sticking out here. Now, a lot of the apple trees, especially for homeowners anymore, are spur bearing. You might have one that's on a standard type of an apple where it's just out on a long stem. But most of the time, the fruit will be on this short spur-like piece like this. Now I want to get rid of this one here because it's too close. And then, now I've been going on this side, but you'll notice that in the back, I need to watch for these back here too, and thin that side. Now I'll just continue all the way up my tree here, and I've got some here I need to take off, and here. Now, commercially they wouldn't do it this way because it would take too much time. They would spray it, but for a homeowner, it's better to just come out and pick them off like this. And I know it's kind of hard to see all that fruit that you're picking off, but in the long run, you'll be better off if you go ahead and thin.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.